Hello, Michael. How are you?
I am doing very well, Stephanie. I just got back from a flight, so I somehow have no jet lag, or I'm telling myself, don't sleep, get working, get moving, stay awake. Let's talk.
When did you get back?
So I got back home at 2:30. There was like a 2 hour flight delay because there was floods in LA. And
Yeah.
I was like, is this gonna just cancel the flight? Is it what's gonna happen? But it just delayed it by 2 hours, so just made things a little bit more delayed.
Oh my God. Well, so you've been home for about 45 minutes. Well, my best advice with the jet lag, as someone that travels to America a lot, is like, just keep going until it reaches
Right.
nighttime here.
That's what I had. That's what I had to learn while I was over there. I was like, oh my gosh, I did not adjust. I was getting tired way too early, sometimes before matches.
Oh
But
gosh.
anyway,
Yeah. No, it's an adjustment for sure. Well, let's get into it and why I have you here today on such quick notice. But where you were in Los Angeles and you just competed in PWG Battle of Los Angeles, your first bola, and man, like you were throwing in the deep end here. So let's start at night one. You faced Konosuke Takeshita, a guy who all of us AEW fans have seen a lot of recently, and he's created a great buzz. So it will be a while before any of us like that weren't there actually get to see this match on VOD. So can you first like describe the atmosphere of Bola for you being there in night one?
right. I think there was in my head. I was already planned it in my head that like the crowd are going to be like, well, we know that they're so educated, so like hardcore. That my fear was that like, oh man, there's going to be a specific way I have to wrestle that's not the way I'm used to wrestling
Yeah.
to make sure that I, win over the crowd. But like as soon as I came out, like it was really good reaction. It was like people actually excited to see me, which was very cool and like a very humbling experience. But
Mhm.
then, but then Takeshita came out, and I was like, oh, oh, okay, yeah, that makes complete sense. I mean, as you said, like he has been like he was the talk of 2022.
Yeah.
He came in terms of the Western market of pro wrestling. He came out of nowhere and just turned heads. I think he's one of the hottest wrestler in the world at the moment, arguably. And everybody was there to see Takeshita, is what it felt like when he went through that curtain. So it felt like it was uphill battle right from there. But at the same time, I'm getting to share that love that they have with him in that ring. And that was a crazy just atmosphere in and of itself right there.
For you, did you make any kind of immediate like adjustments to your kind of presentation? Because the way like we see you a lot of the time is being a baby face, and then like that crowd being behind you. But then I guess in this situation, being less well known than Takeshita, maybe you're back being the underdog as well. But did you make any adjustments?
So I didn't. And I think that because that's what happened, because I was less known than Takeshita. I
Yeah,
was the underdog, and that is what I am all my career. That's how I wrestle, even in Rev Pro, even as champion. I'm always the underdog. So I was like, okay, I guess I'm the underdog again. And even though there was like smattering of boos at the start for me, like as in once the match got going, but part of the underdog thing was that I was able to turn a lot of people around and get them hoping, even maybe believing that I was going to pick up the win.
yeah,
So that was the craziest thing I think about the match. And just like you say, talk about chemistry. I want to say we had great chemistry, but at the same time, he's just amazing that he probably has great chemistry with a broom. But I mean, I really think we like created some magic there. And that again, for that to be my debut in PWG for Bola round one, I really think I hit the ground running
yeah, definitely. When did you find out it was him, and kind of what like preparation for him did you do?
when everybody else did with the tweet.
Oh,
With the tweet, I was just like, oh, okay, okay, all right.
yeah,
I thought of it as, what, that's the best match I could have, right? Again, because back to what I was saying about how good I think he is, as well as just how hot he is as a wrestler. Put me in with him. I love being thrown into the deep end. I thrive in the deep end. I really believe that. So I was ready to wrestle him. But the prep I did was just finding as many Takeshita matches I've had. Obviously, I've watched like all of them. All of the ones he's had in AEW, I've already watched.
Yeah.
I've rewatched a few of them. Some like with Hangman. I watched the one with Claudio for the ROH title a few times. And then Speedball. He had a match of Speedball, which is free on YouTube. Which that was insane. So I was like, I need to know every single thing about him, things that I could think of to reverse his stuff, and then so I came there with like I had a game plan. I had a real good game plan coming into the match.
Well, it's gotten like really great reviews, like as expected and stuff. And yeah, it will be a while before we all see it. Can you just kind of like describe it a little bit, or some of the bits in it that you kind of like the most, the real high spots for you?
So, well, back to you saying that, like, was it a chance that I might wrestle different? At the start of the match, one of my favorite parts of the match is, he backs me up into the ropes and he wants a clean break. I back him up into the ropes and I chop him.
Oh,
But that was more just a statement to just be like, okay, everybody, this isn't the Takeshita show. Like, I'm here too. And there was just such a reaction of that. There was a "you fucked up" chant as well. And I was like, yeah, okay, I expected that. I hear you, but we're going to see something special. And I say not to spoil it, but there is he goes for the Blue Thunder Bomb. That's one of his big signature moves. Big fan of El Generico, and he just shows of how he wrestles as well as the moves he does. And I am too. And I do a reversal from his Blue Thunder Bomb into a reverse Rana.
yeah.
If you're trying to figure out how that looks or how that would actually work with us spinning, I guess you have to buy the Blu-ray DVD to find out. But that was, I think, the moment where like the crowd were like, "Oh, right, we're seeing something here. We're seeing something different here." So that's something that I was really like proud of, because the noise, just any moment that had like a loud reaction was one of my favorite stuff. And putting on the crab on him, there was a real point late on where I had the crab in, and the crowd are chanting for me. And chanting for me while I have the crab in, and again saying that thing. I think I turned them and got them on my side, at least enough people on my side, that was a moment I was like, I cannot believe I've done that, because that's the one thing, like you say yourself, and a lot of people were saying that they were really excited for this match, but oh my gosh, was I getting loads of like imposter syndrome of like, I don't know why they're expecting, I don't know if there's someone behind me that they're expecting this good match out of. But so I wasn't expecting like the reaction to be, the response to be as great as it was post-match, and for it to go as well as it was, and for them to, I mean, basically accept me. I really feel like the PWG fans accepted me after night one. So that was the most humbling and amazing experience about it.
Yeah, you spoke there about the crowd and like how awesome the PWG crowd are, but just America in general, you've wrestled there before, but what's kind of different about wrestling in front of American fans, and do you change anything for America?
So I think what I found with the American indies is, I think a lot of wrestlers, because of the way they put out content online, a lot of wrestlers wrestle for I was going to say gifts, but now it's sometimes clips. There's so many like accounts that put clips, usually because most of these indie shows, big or small, are streaming live. So wrestlers are smart, and I think it's a smart thing to think, okay, I want to get like a good sequence in that can fit in a short clip that will go viral and get my name out there. And so I've never really thought to wrestle like that, but coming to America and having some matches. So I did a Garden State Pro Wrestling late last year, I want to say August kind of time. There's a triple threat match with Titus Alexander, who was in BOLA as well, and Matt Sydal. And I thought actively, I was like, I'm gonna put in a moment where there's just kind of me going wild, so to speak, on both of them that can be clipped, so that people can remember that. But my style, if I'd say if I have a style, is way more like methodical. Even though like I'm a smaller person and I'm a cruiserweight, I would say that my style is like very slow, more like I don't know, just like I tell a story. I don't know. I don't want to sound like an idiot, but like yeah, it is just like a more methodical kind of pace that I think that's kind of a unique trait that I could bring to the American indies. So they were seeing something unique and different in that sense, where maybe that pace you'd normally see on like TV I'm bringing it to the indies, and I think that's what also helped me stand out a little bit more than well, out of the pack, I'd say.
That's so interesting because like there's another amazing match that you had within the last year that let us say that we're going to talk about later, and that was such a story match, but it'd be interesting to see then going forward this year if you really combine that like epic storytelling with these little like GIF moments, as you say, that can really just go like viral.
I think we've got some. I think we've got some in this match. So
Yeah.
tune in when I can get the footage. I'm putting it out there. I'm putting the clips in what I'm allowed to.
Yeah, I was just thinking earlier when I was looking at your Twitter, you made such a great clip video for Twitter, like at the end of 2022, and now you're just gonna have to update that, aren't you?
Right. Yeah. Well, so that was just like my entrance video. And I just quick tweeted it with it saying like quick tweeted my BOLA announcement. I was like, that's it. That's all I need. I need that BOLA announcement. That's all you need to know about my 2022. That I am in BOLA for 2023. And here's my like, obviously there's clips of all the stuff I did in with Will, and I wrestled Swerve, and there's clips from there too. So just so much stuff that I did up and down the country, that just fits in there. That like, new clips are coming. I'm gonna have to get my guy to help me out and put a new little entrance video together.
Awesome. Well, then let's go on to night 2. So you're teaming with Jonathan Gresham, Uno, SB Kento, and Kevin Blackwood, and you're taking on the JAS, Chris Jericho, Sammy Guevara, Matt Menard, Daniel Garcia, Angelo Parker. So first question, when did you find out this was happening? I found out this was happening like right when it was happening because I randomly woke up in the middle of the night and it was suddenly on Twitter. It's like, oh my gosh, like what a time to wake up. But for you, when did you find out?
My gosh, I found out doors were already open. I'm trying to think. I don't know if the first match had already happened. I think doors had just been open. This is what happened. I was told night 1, you're going to be in a tag in night 2. And I was like, oh yeah, that big tag that usually happens on night 2 with loads of the participants who've knocked out. There's a lot of fun happening. Liger, Thumb, all this stuff. Yeah, okay, cool. And then they said like, you're going to like who's in it. There's a few surprises. And I was like, well, I like surprises. I even said to them, don't tell me. Don't tell me. I don't want to know. You sure? Yeah, sure. And I thought, the furthest my mind did go was the fact that, AEW filming Dynamite in LA.
Yeah.
So there may be like maybe a few people in town or a few people local that are already in town. That like, I was like, surely, they can get. I mean, Danny Garcia is the PWG World Champ, so AEW wrestlers can appear. Who knows? There'll be someone from Dark or Elevation that will pop up, and it'll be wicked. It'll be cool. It'll be awesome. And then I was like, okay, everybody was still asking me. There was a few people that knew, but then I could tell that loads of people didn't know. Then some of my partners, SB Kento, came up to me and asked me who our opponents are, and I was like, oh, I don't know. You don't know? He didn't know. And backstage, usually at most shows, there's a running sheet of the match card. Now it's like, okay, doors are open. I'm kind of getting a little bit nervous. I need to let's find out. And I could see it says the team, as you said, my team there, my name's there, Kevin Blackwood. I'm like, oh, cool. Evil Uno, oh, cool. Jonathan Gresham, SB Kento. And it says versus Team 5 Skulls. And I'm like, oh, it's being kept a secret even backstage to everyone on the paper. I was like, what is going on? What's going on? And then I was invited onto a bus. and there we go. And there we go.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Did you get on the pole?
I saw the pole. I just kept looking at it. And I was like, that's a pole. I was just like, that's a pole. I'm going to not mention it, but that's a pole. And I was on the bus, and that's kind of how it all went down. And I mean, you and I, Stephanie, have spoken about our fandom for Chris Jericho.
Yeah.
So you can only imagine. You can only imagine. Like, ugh, it's, yeah. I couldn't believe it. I still can't believe it. I look at clips of me and I can't believe it.
I just like that's amazing. And it's one of those things where sometimes in life, like, is it better to spend 6 weeks knowing you're going to wrestle Chris Jericho and thinking about it? Or is it better to have like however many minutes you had? Because sometimes I feel like it's better to just have the least amount of time possible and just go out there and do it. Like, how do you feel?
To not to, yeah, I think so. I think I would have, I think I might have run away if I had time to, if I had time to think about it, back down like, nah, I can't do it, can't do it. But it's just like right there in the situation, just like, here we go. And it's just like, I'm there and I'm thinking like, what can happen in the match, what we can do in the match. And in my head, I'm like, I'm telling myself in my head, of like, I've already dreamed of what I would do in a match with Chris Jericho, but only in dreams because it will never happen in real life. And here we are. We're going to do all the things that I dreamed of doing if I wrestled Chris Jericho.
How long
And so,
did it
I
take
mean,
for you to say the word crab?
what a great question. So I think, yeah, I think there was a lot of awkward silences. By awkward, I mean nervous silence, a lot of nervous silence. And I was just like, if I don't do it, I will never forgive myself. But I quickly suggested stuff with the crab.
Mhm.
I think someone else came up to me and said, you have to put him in the half crab. I was like, oh, okay, all right, I have to. So like, it's just like, it tells itself. And again, like what was great again about is that the night before, again, there's a lot of people who weren't aware of who I was, so they aren't aware of the stuff I do. But like, I've emblazoned the crab on like my jacket. It's on my gear. The ring announcers announced me as the master of the half crab. So I am hitting you over the head with it. So but it really got over like my finish and night one. So as you've seen the clip, that's the one of the few clips that's out there. When I put it in on him, they lose their mind, which is probably the craziest thing about it. It's one thing to do it, but then it's another thing for me to do it and then the crowd are cheering and clamoring for Jericho to tap. Oh, just
It's just so crazy. Like, so you find out, you get on the bus, and then when you're actually in the ring, like when the match is starting, during the match, like how nervous are you? Obviously, knowing that, like, just the fact of someone like him showing up, even though like Bola is so big, but showing up at the show unannounced, it's like it's gonna be everywhere. And like, what's your kind of feeling inside?
yeah. So usually with a lot of wrestling matches nowadays, and I think it actually happened as well with that, the nerves go when I'm in the ring. The nerves are before I get through the curtain. Yeah, sometimes there's nerves even when I'm walking around doing the entrance. But once I'm actually in the ring, that's when I'm like, okay, they're all gone. And I'm surprised the same thing happened when there is TV superstar, let's call them. I'm sure they'd love to be called superstars, actually. Like the Jericho Appreciation Society, like, and as well, all of them.
Yeah.
Like, it's one thing it could be just like, oh, just a few, just putting a few, and that's the thing about the entrance. So the way it all went down was like, it looked like it was going to be a 6-man tag with myself, Evil Uno, and SB Kento against Gresham, Kevin Blackwood, and Danny Garcia. Danny Garcia comes out last. He's already wearing the ridiculous jacket, and he's like, I'll never team with wrestlers. I only team with sports entertainers. Judas starts playing, and everybody's like, oh, cool. I think 2.0 come out. Huge reaction. People like, oh, so this was going to happen, right? That's cool. And it's just like one at a time, very slowly. Different people. Jake Hager comes out like, what the hell? Ty Conti, Ty Mello and Sammy Guevara come out, what? Anna Jay is there as well, like, what? And then like Judas is playing, everybody singing Judas, like, oh, that's cool. And then Chris Jericho comes out. And before that, the loudest thing I'd ever heard in my life from wrestling was Kazini Nare
Yeah.
being in the middle of the ring. That, it now got overtaken by when Jericho went through the curtain.
Mhm.
And it was like one pop because it's so packed. There was like one loud reaction when he came through the curtain. but then not everyone can see him because everybody's so crowded. The fans are right, they are right there. But then when he gets onto the apron, so like everybody can see him, there's even a louder reaction of just like, oh, this is happening. And then it's just like, oh, he's wrestling as well. But it's just all these different things I can imagine the fans are thinking. And I'm just like, if when that footage is available, I think you're going to see like 10 people, or at least just me, smiling so much throughout the entire match because I'm just giddy and having the time of my life. I think everybody in the match is having the time of their life. It was so much fun. The fans were enjoying it. It's crazy. It was crazy.
Did you have time to like text your friends and family that this was going to happen, or did they find out on Twitter?
Right. So, I mean, you know, the time would be like, it was probably like 2 a.m., 3 a.m. When it happened, or even just around the time that I even knew. So I did, I think I sent a text. I think I sent a text to Amira being like, can't wait for you to see social media. Can't wait for you to wake up and see social media. Like, I was like, that's it. Because I was like, I want everyone to be surprised by this. And I can't even, because again, like, as well, if they had told me who it was that I was wrestling, I don't think I would have believed them.
Yeah.
Said, oh yeah, you're going to be wrestling. I said, no. Okay, is this one of those funny ribs you say to the British guy who's I was like, so like, even if I told them, I was like, hey guys, I'm not wrestling this joke, bye. Like, I don't think they would believe me. So I was just like, let them wake up, have all the morning stuff in their eyes and not believe what they're seeing. And yeah, like when it was 8 a.m., 9 a.m. UK time, everything, all the messages in the world flooding in. Because again, as well, like so many of them know like how much Jericho means to me.
Yeah.
It's him and The Rock. It's him and The Rock. That's it. Those are the two. Those are the reason that I'm a wrestler. So to say that like I have wrestled my actual idol, insane. It's just so insane.
Yeah, like as you said, like we've talked about, because we have like the same kind of era and references, so we've talked about like Jericho especially. And I mean, I feel like when I meet or interview people that I grew up like a fan of, I just have to like forget that it's them. Like, did you do that, or how much in the moment were you when the match was happening?
There was a lot of in the moment stuff. That the one moment that I had where I could be in the moment was when I was in the Walls of Jericho.
Yeah.
That was like, this is actually happening. I was like, but everything before that, I was like, I'm just trying to focus on being a good wrestler.
Yeah.
But like that, when I was in the Walls of Jericho, I was like, oh, this is it. This is why I do the half crab. This is why the half crab is my finish, because of this move that I am in by the person that's doing it to me. And it's just like, that was when I got the moment to actually like, dare I say, drink it in. And like, just, yeah, it was just a crazy thing. Again, like loads of my, like you can see it in my jackets as well. Like the influence, not just in the moves alone, the fact that I do a lion salt, he does a lion salt, do the crabs. And then like, you know, I literally, the jacket before the one that I wear now was made by the same person who has made Chris Jericho's jackets.
Yeah.
So it's just like, because I was like, I'm going to find who makes his, and then I'm going to see if I can get one. So there's the influence is just all over me. The fingerprints of Chris Jericho is all over me. And so to actually then, and again, like what's also kind of cool is if you see any kind of footage online, it looks like it's just me and Chris Jericho all the time, which is, I'm not complaining at all.
Yeah.
So it's the fact that not only like it's not just like I can say I was in the same match and like we looked at each other. We were doing so much stuff with each other in the match. So yeah, unbelievable feeling.
It's so amazing that like one, you got the opportunity, but then like with all your teammates, obviously awesome, but like you do work the best with Jericho because he's been such an influence on you. So it's just like, yeah, like all the pictures I've seen are of you and him. Like it just worked out so well. But Like again, we will have to wait to see it in VOD, and we all can't wait. But like, other than the walls and the crowd, like, what are some other like highlights from the match? Not even just with Jericho, you know, you were in there with some other great people too.
Yeah, there was a Cool Hand and it's such a funny nickname. That yeah, there was a lot of stuff that there's a couple things that we did in there as well. Um, but as is tradition with me and anyone who's seen my matches, I got beaten up a lot. So like there was like you know, loads of people were taking turns beating me up. There's like loads of, I was gonna say 10 punches, 8 punches, ocho punches.
Yeah.
Like to me, a few of them are doing that. Eh, but again, there was another moment again with Jericho where he goes for the lion salt. He misses it. And then I hit him with my top rope lion salt. So
Mhm.
it's just like, oh, it's just like, oh, what? And then there's the slow motion stuff. Oh my gosh. We did it's almost like a famous PWG thing. Go slow motion, which for some reason, Jake Hager had a remote control underneath his hat that he likes. And he he got us to go in all in slow motion. And for that to happen, and there was moments where we're like playing tug of war with Jericho's bat. Everybody's like running off, charging, but in slow motion. The crowd are chanting in slow motion. Everything. The photographers, I'm seeing the photographers take photos in slow motion. It was just, that was like an amazing, amazing. I've never been a part of something like that ever before. So to do that with Jericho, who was so up for doing it, that was just so cool.
Yeah. So how did you feel then, like when the match ended and you walked back through the curtain? What was that feeling like?
Yeah, just like
What did you
I
do?
think I just kept shaking my head. I just kept shaking my head. I was just like, this is, I can't process this. I still arguably haven't processed it fully. But I just like, what's going on? I'm still breathing heavy from the match. But yeah, just the time to like sit down and really properly like process the fact that I've wrestled Chris Jericho now. I've wrestled Sammy Guevara now. Like, I've wrestled an AEW faction
Mhm.
um,
In
in
one
Los
night.
Angeles. Yeah, in one night for PWG BOLA, which
Mhm.
is just like the last thing I would have expected. I expected and hoped for the weekend to go well,
Yeah.
but you want to talk about exceeding expectations. There's no, I could have never even in my wildest dreams guessed that this would happen. So yeah, like that was all that was after match. It was just like just happy that it went well, happy that everybody had fun, the crowd were all up for it.
Mhm.
They were out there talking like loads more. They were doing a promo like after the match and saying a lot of stuff with the crowd, which is cool. But yeah, it was just an amazing kind of like just to let it in, just to like just to breathe and just to actually think like that's what Jericho. It's happened. It's happened. Should I retire?
Did you get to speak to him after or get any advice?
Yeah, no, that's it. It's just he's a cool dude, and he just seemed to be very happy with everything, and felt that everything was easy, and felt that everything was happy with all of our work, our abilities. That's the only thing you worry about is just that, like, he doesn't think you suck. Because if Chris Jericho thought, if he thought I was not good, I would retire. I would actually stop wrestling. But like, for him to like think, yeah, man, everything was good, everything was easy, and that I did well, that was real good stuff. And hopefully, again, like he's posted a lot about it as well. He made me an Insta collab on Instagram. We got a collab post. That's guys, it's over 2 million followers, or more than that, maybe. So like, yeah, that's all cool. Yeah, the hope is just like to hopefully like keep in touch and then maybe see each other soon. Like
Yeah.
the thing in the air is AEW coming to London, of course, and just like being the one British wrestler that was there in Bola, and
Yeah.
then the British wrestler, the London wrestler that wrestled one of the greatest wrestlers of all time and one of the hottest factions in all of wrestling. I am excited to see what happens next. But again, if I'm going to be pessimistic. And if nothing happens, I'm going to have to try my best to be so content with it. I remember when Kevin Owens wrestled Stone Cold in the main event of WrestleMania, one of his famous quotes I remember him saying is that it all goes downhill from here. It all goes down because it's just like, there's my hero, my idol. He's been retired for 19 years and he actually comes out of retirement to WrestleMania in Texas. It can't be topped. So like in my own head, unless I can get The Rock, I think it all does go downhill for me as well. But at the same time, I'm excited. I am excited for like the rest of the year.
I like that you said you were the only British person there, and like they're coming to, like, that's literally my mindset every time I'm at the show. I'm like, I'm the only British person here. Hi.
Yeah.
Someone please remember this. But I think it's not just like the idea of being in the ring with Jericho and like the attention you can get for that, but the guy does have an amazing eye for talent as well, as that, and is very remembers people and like giving back with young wrestlers. So it's like that kind of extra layer of like him just being the best person like you could have had this match with is like super cool as well.
Again, I was just going to say just quickly, just again, like talking about stuff that like ways he's influenced me. That's one thing I've noticed about his career, like the last nearly 20 years, I'd say, that I've noticed he has done. He's always tried to find times, even in WWE, like how he can like give back to people who are on the come up and stuff like that. I remember he was trying to do like a real feud with like Evan Bourne and Matt Sydal.
Yeah.
And like really kind of like give him a lot. But there's examples of that all throughout his career. And of course, he's doing the stuff with Action Andretti now. It's just like, that's things that I tried. Again, it's on such a smaller scale, but like with whatever I've gotten, whatever I've created with myself, I try and give that back to the people who are like trying to come up to where I am. So like that's just in terms of footprints, fingerprints, and of influence. I'm excited that like he definitely is that kind of guy. I got to see it firsthand that he wants to try and help out, which is so cool.
That's so cool. So how have then the past like just over 24 hours for you like been, seeing everything on social media? And I'm sure like you're everyone's best friend right now, favorite person. But
including people that I've never spoken to, I'm their best friends. I haven't properly. I think the one time I properly slept was on the plane.
Yeah.
But until then, I couldn't really sleep. I just couldn't sleep. Not just because of jet lag, just like my mind thinking about it. And the stuff on social media just hadn't stopped. It's been constant messages and tagging me and stuff and just saying good things about me. And which is overwhelming. And it's one of those things, like, it's kind of like what you're asking for as a wrestler. That's what comes with the success, is the people talking about you, and it's a good sign. But it's so like it's very overwhelming. It's very overwhelming, good in a good way and a kind of bad. I'm like, oh my gosh, now all this attention on me, but at the same time, it's so positive. It's all 100% positive. So I have to be so grateful that that's the case, because especially on social media, it can easily not be all positive. So like for it right now at this moment, to be so positive about me and like as a takeaway from PWG, and like the fact that I feel like I've gained new fans and just new people are now like maybe paying attention to me. That's just it's the best way I could have come out of that, which is, again, if I'm thinking business wise, like that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking always for the next step and what's next and how do I go to the next level, and how do I break out. Again, like you could say people are breakout stars, but then there's always another level. You break out to go to another level, but I'm not on top. I want to get to the top. So I'm trying to see all the ways that I can now get closer and closer to the top.
So was there anyone else that you met on the show that really impressed you, or was someone that you wanted to meet?
I'd say Brian Keith would be the guy who really, I've seen him a few times when I went to Dallas for Mania weekend, and I saw him again Garden State Pro Wrestling. I honestly think that he has the best look in independent wrestling right now. There's just, you just look at him and you're like, this is nobody looks like him. and he stands out. I can't even describe what it is. Maybe he has like a moniker or a nickname. I don't know what it is right now, but you just look at him like that. That's someone who is got my attention. I want to see what he does. And then he gets in the ring, and you can see he's got such a strong, like an all Japanese wrestling influence of how he wrestles. Just such a hard hitter, strong striker. And I think he really like turned some heads after the weekend. And again, he was a replacement. That's even the cooler thing about it. He was actually a replacement for Leo, who obviously got injured at Tokyo Dome. But to step in, a few days notice, and then to also leave with a lot of people talking about you and singing your praises, that is a big victory. And then just, I don't want to say like there's so many other people that like you watch either on TV or PWG that you're like, oh my god, here they actually are.
Yeah.
Seeing Excalibur, referee Rick Knox, you refed the match. I got to say that I had a match refed by Rick Knox, and that's just a wild thing. But then Excalibur right there, like seeing him in the flesh, I was like, there we go. So it was that was a cool thing, and that's arguably that's the thing. One of the things I'm most excited about once getting my hands on footage. It's like I get to hear him call my match. I get to hear Excalibur commentate on a match of mine. So that's going to be so exciting. So it's exciting.
I did see that you met Dave Meltzer.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
A good segue into talking about another match that you had. But firstly, you met Dave, and Dave gave you 5 stars this time last year. So what was it like meeting him, and did you guys get a chance to talk about anything?
Yeah, we had like a good lengthy talk. By design, I think it's like a running joke from my know about Dave Meltzer is that he loves to talk for a long time.
Yeah,
he loves to keep going. So he was doing that there. Like it's after the show that he came up to me, but I'm so glad he did. And we got to speak about a lot of stuff. And it's weird, but like I got to thank him as well, because like I've been saying on loads of interviews and stuff like that. But the fact are, once he puts his stamp of approval on a match, he is a respected journalist and respected opinion in pro wrestling that and has got such a worldwide scope that it made more people at least check me out. Yeah. And I think that was a big help in getting my name out there and getting that match out there, which again is probably the best match I've ever had. So I got to say that, of course he's just enjoying the match and saying how much he enjoyed the match. That's really all he's doing. Yeah. But that was enough to get people to pay more attention to me. So that was a cool thing. And then of course he asked about the UK scene as well. He asked who you should look out for and stuff like that. So he's really intrigued on the UK scene to
What did you say?
Well, one of the main ones I said was Leon Slater, just because he's in America. He was in America at the same time. He was doing GCW at the same time and doing PWG, which is just that's also another cool thing of just a kid who just came out of nowhere, blew up in the space of a year, the space of a few months, wasn't even 18 while most of it was happening. And then he spent New Year's in America wrestling for GCW, which I think other than PWG is the hottest promotion in America. So there we are, two people who, and again, Leon talks, he used the word hero for me, which I tell him stop saying that, I'm his hero, and I'm a guy that he watched and took influence from. But to see him just make waves out of nowhere, and we're the two guys that are in America right now. I just heard today, and I was like, you've definitely heard of him, and he has heard of him. He watched his match with Zack Sabre Jr. That happened at Uprising, and he'd already seen that, and I tried to get him. I was like, just watch more wrestling, man. We're live streaming. I'm trying to plug the service, with him as best as possible. Just rate some more matches, give us some more stars and stuff like that. But yeah, that was the main one. And then he was big on him. He knew about the young guns as well. Yeah. Let's know how they're doing. Of course, Ricky Knight Jr. The main thing that I said to him, and which is cool about the scene at the moment, is just that not only are there so many really, really talented people, but they're all very young. All those people are all younger than me. I'm the old one, actually. But they're all so young, so they're only going to get so much better. And in 10 years' time, they'll still be here, and they'll just be reaching their primes in theory. So it was cool to talk today. Really, really, really cool to talk to.
That's awesome. So the match we are talking about is, of course, you and Will Ospreay at High Stakes about this time last year. Wow, that's
Yeah, yeah.
and that was a match like so. Well, full disclosure for everyone, we've worked together in Rev Pro, and I was like around for a lot of the build to that, and even before the match, like the build was amazing. Like my favorite thing I've ever done in wrestling, like interviews, anything, is that bit we did in London where we'll give you the
You're in
team.
the ring.
That's like that's my favorite thing I've ever done, and like the whole build to that was so good. And you talked before about telling a story in the match, but can you talk a little bit about how like you and Will put that build together, because it got pretty personal, and obviously like Amira was brought into it and everything as well. So what made you guys like decide to really go in that direction?
I feel like it was mainly, I think it was mainly Will. Will just got really excited about this match. He
Yeah.
really got excited about wrestling, which is a cool thing. It's an honor for that to be the case. And we'd already done the one match in Southampton.
Mhm.
That would have been the year prior in 2021. And again, that was just like a spur of the moment thing. Of like Andy was just like, I want to do this match because I might not be able to do this match ever again. So let me just do it so I can. Who knows where Will's going to go, in a few months or whatever. So he just did it because availability wise, that's when he could do it. And then once that happened, it was like, well, I actually need a match for your call. Let's do the rematch there. And then when you just immediately think of like that match at Southampton went so well that like we think about, well, how do you top it? And usually in wrestling, the way to top stuff, yeah, you can try and think of, well, what's the cooler move to do, a bigger move to do, more rotations on a flip to do, but really nothing overtakes story,
Yeah.
nothing overtakes drama. If you add that in with that mix of the athleticism of pro wrestling. So we knew that that's where we wanted to take it. And another thing, which is I think actually a key point, is the feud of me and Mills, the
Yeah.
feud of me and Connor Mills. That is actually a pivotal point as to why we did a lot of the stuff in the match, because Andy was it was so important for Andy, to Andy for the feud of me and Mills that he was visible during that match and during so many of my moments on this come up. And part of the story is that he doesn't have a match. And part of the story is that he has the towel. And like, so we were playing with all those things. We thought, well, how about if, we use the towel and my family's there, and there's all these moments where like maybe Mills gives the towel to my family and this, that, and the other, but then the perfect person for him to give it to, which we only kind of really figured out the day of, was Amira,
Yeah.
who, she get into business, so gets it and like can like put her all into it and do exactly what needs to be done for everything to work well, which she did amazing. And I think that's what took it to the next level. And that's what made it more than, there'll be like that match still gets spoken to me about. Of course, so many people came up to me, fans came up to me at Bola. The ones who knew me
Mhm.
obviously had seen that match.
Yeah.
So I think, and there's all the time throughout the year and then the end of year thing again, that happened in January of the year. And at the end of 2022, people saying, for me, like that's the match of the year for me personally. Nothing tops that, this, that, and the other. I think that's the main reason, because we added all that drama with my family, with Amira, with Mills, and all that coming together just made it to be something really, 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 really special.
How did your family feel like being asked to be in the match?
I didn't ask them to do anything. I just told them to come watch the show. Come watch the show. We got front row tickets. That's
Welcome
all
to
it is to do. That's all it is now.
Do you remember like a point in that match where you knew like this was something special? Like maybe not necessarily that it was gonna be like 5-star match, but when you thought like this is hitting exactly how I wanted it to?
There's two moments. There was when Ospreay hits an Oz cutter on
Mhm.
the apron onto me, and we both just spill to the outside, and we're like head to head on our backs, both bleeding.
Yeah.
And there's this awesome chant, which I guess that's the best way to signify that it's going well. But like that just, I already saw the photo in my mind of what this looks like right now. And then I found it on social media and I remember posting it. But like, just like us being down, so much had already happened in the match that like, you know, I think the attack had already happened. We'd already grabbed a mirror. There's all these crazy things that already happened. And then there's an Oscar and then we're down. And then here we are just both bleeding. And then the second moment was when I did the Styles Clash on to him. I gave him a Styles Clash after I put him in half crab by reversing a hidden blade. He was fighting out of it, hit him with a Styles Clash, put the crab in again and went all the way back. And where I'm like on my forehead, I'm like bridging on my forehead. And the crowd was so loud that I was like, they think this is the moment where I become the British heavyweight champion.
Yeah.
This is it. They think this is it right here, right now. So that those two moments stick out to me. And then the third one, there's gonna be loads, but if I say one more, it's when I kick out very slowly from one of his hidden blades. He does like a hidden blade to the front of me, a very nonchalant cover, and I just do a little slow kick out. And like again, the reaction for that and everything that came following that was just like a real cool thing.
With like you had a great 2019 and then pandemic and everything, and then so this time last year you have that match with Ospreay and like everyone's talking about you is getting 5 stars and stuff, and now we're a year on and this match with Jericho has happened and everyone's talking about you again, and so is there like anything that you've learned from the experience last year when it comes to like getting some attention and trying to capitalize that you're going to take into now the position that you're in this year, like a year on?
Yeah, 100%. I've always believed that like, well, momentum is a real thing in wrestling.
Yeah.
And it's why you always hear wrestlers work hurt and they're afraid to take time off, because you just know that so many things happen, yes, because of hard work, but a lot of the time out of just sheer luck and being in the right place at the right time. So you never want to like take yourself out of the game in case you miss out on a big opportunity. And so with that, something like the Ospreay match happens and I'm like, okay, this is big momentum that's been built for me. Let me continue that. Let me try and I'm gonna like unapologetically like squeeze that for all it's worth to then see what can come next to it. Then that I'm sure that was the match that got me the message to be part of WrestleCon and go down to Dallas and Mania weekend. And then loads of other bookings in new promotions in new countries as well. I'm sure a lot of that was off that. The guy who had this match, this, that, and the other. I ask commentators a lot. They don't always have to, but like sometimes I ask commentators, call it a 5-star road flash. Call it that. That's what it is. Like don't forget it. Like don't forget that I had that match. Just so that like you just keep it and people can remember you and be like, oh yeah, you are the guy that did this. But then on the flip side, back to my pessimism as a wrestler, and again thinking that things happen with luck, and just be grateful of these moments that when they happen, because it may not be topped. I was ending the year thinking, all right, I've had a really good year. It's been amazing. So many things have happened. I wrestled for New Japan. Well, like near the end of it. Can't complain at all. But then I was also in my mind of like, I'm gonna forever be trying to top January 2022. The same way I thought about 2019, I was like, that was amazing. Like I'll be trying to top that. And then I feel like I did with 2022. But then even just that January, that match alone with Will, I was like, I'm gonna be forever trying to top that. And it's gonna be hard. So then to get the email to be asked for BOLA, I was just like, whoa. First of all, I was in hysterics, quite honestly.
Yeah.
And then the second thing was like, I was not convinced it was real. I was like, I had to message Kurt. I was like, Kurt, if this is you,
oh, that's what I was think it was Kurt. What is
I'm going to beat you up. I'm going to actually physically beat you up because this is across the line. but I had to literally, and I heard other people have done this as well, where they had to, you get this email from this, it's a PWG, and they say, oh, I want to book you.
Mhm.
There's nothing really more to it. You go around and ask people who've been wrestling with PWG, is this real? Is this really? Is this spam? Do they just want like something from me? And then once you get that confirmation, it just becomes real like, oh, what a great way to try and top 2022. What a great way to start 2023. And I think, honestly think I did um, find a way to top the match with Will by that weekend, being in Bola, wrestling Takeshita in that match that I had, and then having that crazy 10-man tag.
Mhm. Well, we've mentioned a bit about Rev Pro, and I just wanted to like ask you kind of how you see this scene like right now, because we had the pandemic and it was really rough, and then you know we were doing the with Rev Pro the shows where there was no one there, and it was so amazing that Andy Quildan I had this idea to like keep going in the way that he did, and I think he really used that pandemic empty arena time to build up so many people like yourself and like Ricky as well. So now that 2022 is over and that was the year of being able to do all the shows, like do you see the scene in general in a good place, and do you feel like obviously he's doing way more in Japan now and he's just had an amazing match at Wrestle Kingdom, so do you feel like back home he has like passed the baton over to you and Ricky?
Well, yeah, well, you could say that then he was the one that was wrestling on. He was the one wrestling Rev Pro, and me and Ricky weren't. I was here in America, and he wasn't. So like, it's like he's still. I feel like he wants to pass the baton on, and I would argue that he can, but there's that part in him that wants to always still help, and he wants to give back, and he does feel like the Rev Pro specifically, he feels like that's home. He
Yeah, he
really gives a
loves
lot of credit to them.
so much.
Yeah, so much so. You see it. You see how much with every match or any match. Like people tell people to tune into that match that he had with Eddie Dennis, and how that's just great. But of course, I mean, of course it is because Will, but like it's just great. But you see how much effort that he puts into it. Um, in terms of the scene, again, like I did a promo about it, like my last match of the year, and just like really just hit home that like we had a full year. That was the first full calendar year of pro wrestling in the world. And I think everybody was leaving it so positive. So many wrestlers were leaving it so positive. I think fans were too, but like so many wrestlers were talking about like they were just listing out in photo form their highlights of the year and the people they got to wrestle, imports or like just big matches with like sold out crowds. And it's just like, wow, the fact that so many people are being able to say this
Yeah.
must mean that we're in a very like healthy state of things, of like really at least settled, so to speak. And you also add to the fact that like it did feel doom and gloom. And
Mhm.
everyone was telling us and pointing at us saying it's doom and gloom when you are doom and gloom.
Yeah.
So to have that, to be told that like, yeah, this scene isn't good and it's dying or it should die, to having a year that so many people had, of so many wrestlers that came over, so many from GCW came over, and did shows with us. And I think we're really in a good place, and I feel like even now we're going to go to a next level with 2023, and I think we started strong, but like we're going to see like I want to see like Rev Pro doing even more stuff. Zack Sabre Jr. like he said he's back at the last Rev Pro show, so if we get more Zack Sabre Jr., that's cool. And if we can have Will Ospreay doing some more of the big shows or whatever show he can do, that's wonderful. And then if I can, sometimes I think like obviously selfishly, 100% selfishly, I want to raise my star power for myself, for my own career. But I also see that as like, if I can do that, then that will help put more eyes on the UK scene,
Yeah.
and on the Rev Pros and such and so forth, and wherever I wrestle or whoever I wrestle, it puts eyes on them, because that's what I want too as well. I don't want to just like be successful, take everything for myself, be greedy and lean. I want to see how much I can still like help out with the scene. If I ever get signed to anywhere, the condition would be that like I can still wrestle for Rev Pro. That's the condition, no matter where it is, for sure.
Um, like not to do like a full autopsy, but we did have last year like the death of NXT UK, and then
Mhm.
someone like in the British scene. for you, like how did it kind of change the landscape, and did you ever consider going, and do you have a feeling yourself of why it maybe didn't take off that big, and why, you know, it's still not around, even though there is Europe coming apparently?
Well, yeah, it's a lot.
Mhm.
It's a loaded question. I feel like I just feel like it feels like NXT UK was like created not to help but to hurt.
Mhm.
And I think the biggest bit of evidence on that is when there was nothing to compete with anymore, and when there is a pandemic, and when they're not making money from it,
Mhm.
their immediate thing is to get rid of it. And again, they say, oh, we're going to do NXT Europe. Okay, okay. If you are, what's the explanation for firing all of your roster?
Yeah.
That's what I want to know. That's the one thing that I feel like they would love to know. The ones that got let
Especially
go.
like before the first pay-per-view in the UK as well, like the timing
Yeah,
close.
yeah. So there's a few of them doing that were asked to do promotion for it. They
Yeah.
were asked by the company to help promote it, and then they get let go. So there's a lot of there's a lot like a lot of the things that they have done. I feel, in my opinion, kind of give away what the true intentions of
Mhm.
um, our brand was. But when it got when it got disbanded, or when it got closed down, it really just did kind of validate like what we've been doing on the scene at the moment. Again, especially Rev Pro, because
Yeah.
you know I know like a lot of people, like if you wrestle there, they'll be looking at you and they'll be trying to get you.
Mhm.
And for it to be like for what we had done in that year alone in Rev Pro, like so when did it when did it close? Would have been August.
Yeah, just before Clash at the Castle, yeah.
Yeah, it would have been August. And like we so much had happened in Rev Pro, and just yeah, the scene in general for sure. That like I was like, cool, like this is the place to be. This is the place to be. This place that I've been like putting my all in is indeed the place to be. And I feel like it validated kind of that decision on my front
Yeah.
as like, okay, I was in the right place this whole time. Then a wrestler from New Japan, all these things I felt like came together in one by being on this scene. And again, like just this weekend, I put so much credit in some things. I do just in some things to do with this weekend. I have just tagged Revolution Pro Wrestling in it
Yeah.
because just to just let people know, people who know will know that like I put so much credit in the fact that I'm where I am because Andy stuck by me and he gave me opportunities. And yes, of course, I had to do something with the opportunity. It's not that just like you get given them and then automatically you do well. I had to then do the work and do well. But like to be able to like go to Los Angeles and I've traveled the world in just the last 2 years alone. It's been cool. So like what happens next with like NXT Europe if it's a thing? Like well, I mean the running joke was that like now that Regal is back in the company, now that once Triple H is in charge,
Yeah.
and then we brought Regal back, it's like, oh, it's definitely now a thing. Before we were like, it's not a thing, but now it definitely is. But then the new joke is that because Vince is now back in the board of directors, it's not a thing anymore. So we'll have to wait and see. I mean, it's not like I don't want to just call it 100% this evil thing because it did provide wrestlers, independent wrestlers, with more money than they would have got if they were independent wrestlers.
Yeah.
But we again we should see. We'll see what they do. We'll see if they like realize that Europe is not a country and it's like a load of different countries
Yeah.
with different laws, and see if they can bring people around. And it's intriguing. I'm intrigued to say the very least.
Yeah, it's so cool what you said about like even tagging like Rev Pro and stuff this weekend, because I think it felt so much sometimes like it was like Andy kind of on his own, like against, you know, everyone else with what was going on with WWE. And Andy, like, we both know him so well. He just loves wrestling so much and loves, like, his passion for it is so incredible. And it's so awesome to see how much like Osprey gives back to Andy and you give back to Andy, and how much he, you know, gives to guys like you and giving them that platform. And it's just like so great. And he did so much great stuff, you know, during the pandemic and afterwards. That is so cool. Like the place that you're all in now, where you can have you doing something like this with PWG being a Rev Pro guy, and Osprey in the Tokyo Dome was a Rev Pro guy, and like, yeah, it's just so cool.
Right.
I will have to ask, AEW, like, have you ever talked to Tony? Have you met Tony? Have you got Tony's number? You want to give it to me?
I have not talked to Tony Khan. I have not talked to Tony Khan. I was told by someone the other day. Well, see, the whole thing again is that, like, you know, before AEW was a thing, or maybe even like a period of time where it was at least announced.
Yeah.
He was a regular Rev Pro goer. He was going to the shows, to your calls, some of the cockpits as well. So I'm intrigued to know which matches of mine he was there for live.
Yeah.
If they were good. but like, yeah, nothing you know, since like the company's like really like off the ground running. But at the same time, like, I feel like one thing I always was saying to so many people, especially even just last year, is like, we're all just so close. We're one step away from like nearly everything in wrestling. Because again, like when Will can just show up at Dynamite, when he did that for the first time, it's like, so this guy that I wrestled is just now on Dynamite. And it's just like populate. It's really, AEW is populated with loads of people who are like, I've wrestled, or friends of mine have wrestled, and then they can get Pac to defend his AEW title, you know, with us, you know. So like, it's just like, oh, how just in a second we could be wrestling AEW wrestlers, or competing for an AEW title on their YouTube channel. So the only thing I'm very hopeful, I'm very optimistic in the fact that, like, wrestling one of the top guys in all of pro wrestling, it would be a big help. It'll be a big help. So we'll see if we get more communications in the down the line.
I think you and the All Atlantic Championship sounds like something I would really ship. A partnership I could get behind there.
That's fine. I'll defend it all around the world. I'll happily do that. Let's go.
You did also work for GCW in 2022. Do you want to go back there? Have you had any talks about going back with them, working more?
Oh yeah, no, not really. Not really any talks. Yeah, it was really cool though. It was like very kind of very last minute. It was part of their For the Culture show. It was put in a scramble. Because I was already there mainly weekend, so we just got that done as an additional booking. But like, yeah, at the same time, yeah, like GCW, like, they're like one of the hottest promotions in the world, full stop. And they've got their fight deal now, where like I think more people are actually now starting to watch it because they've got this like there's a fight pass thing where like you can just stream every show for like a monthly fee, and there's other promotions as well that come with that. So I think more people are getting eyes on GCW, which is even crazy to think about because they were already so popular. But yeah, I'm very, very like up for like wrestling with them and for them again sometime in the future. I think that's my main plan for 2023, is to really expand in America if it can happen. Just try and see how many more promotions, because there are so many promotions that I've been a fan of, I've just had my eye on, that I want to wrestle for, that are there. They're like, hopefully, like, that whole momentum, just going with it. Hopefully I can continue that.
So you started 2023 off in the best way possible with a dream match, but can you give us some other like 2023 dream matches if you had to make like a little list of people that you would like to wrestle, whether it be on the indies or on the TV? Who would be on that list, the short list?
I'm trying to think of like new people. Like, yeah, I'm always, when I want to do these lists, I always want it to be like people I haven't wrestled before. So there's this kid called Dynamite Lee Dawson. Speaking of Dynamite, yeah, he's just there's something about him. He's just a cool character, as in a human being. I've seen him. He's doing a lot of stuff in Future Shock, which is in Manchester, I believe. That like I just want to like step in the ring and see what he's got. That would be like a cool thing. And I'm thinking of names in the indie scene, and then like I'm trying to think, how do I cast my net big and think of like big names? But again, you talk about like not always new people. I'd love to wrestle Pac again. That would be something that would be really cool. Just like for it to be on a bigger stage would be just amazing, and just a personal like achievement to like step back and be like where it came from to where we're at. And that'll be a nice thing. And since like since I've wrestled Chris Jericho, the more like I'm like LJ Cleary, like me and LJ Cleary, we're weird because like we have found out that we've got like so many of the same tastes in terms of wrestling, how we think about wrestling, and loads of our favorite wrestlers are like the same. And like he loves Chris Jericho just as much as I do. He got to wrestle Zack Ryder, he got to wrestle Matt Cardona, and I freaking loved him. And he beat him as well. He tapped him out with the Walls of Jericho. That's how big of a fan he is of Jericho. Wow. But another big fan of we're also like another one of my big inspirations is Christian.
Yeah.
So, you know, like I wouldn't have said it before, but now, freaking hell, I want to wrestle Christian Cage. Absolutely. Let's put that on the list as a name. And then Ishii, Tomohiro Ishii. That's someone who like I've always been like kind of dreaming of wrestling. They're like, I just think there'd be like something really interesting there if we can get together. So Dynamite Lee Dawson, Christian Cage.
Wrestled Jericho last month. Ishii.
Yes, exactly. That's it. And that's again, it's so small. Like he wrestled Ishii wrestled Jericho last month. He wrestled Ospreay last month. Mm-hmm. Like it's just like it's so crazy how close all these things can possibly happen. That's the fact that one's not impossible at all is kind of crazy. And then okay, I guess like one that maybe like it's a big one, but is also realistic will be Zack Sabre Jr. Mm-hmm. Again, he said he's back. So, you know, who does he want to wrestle? I don't know, but I'll put my hand up and like maybe down the line at some point if he's sticking around, I'd love to wrestle Zack Sabre Jr.
Mm-hmm. Well, before we finish, please tell everyone, Michael, where we can see you next and where we can follow you and watch all your great stuff.
Yeah, so I think probably the next time I'm going to wrestle will be at Rev Pro 229. I think it'll be their February show.
Yeah.
I will be available for that. They have a new service, which is, it's still like early days. The video quality is great. Once it's uploaded in HD, it's so much more improved than when it was on Pivot Share. But also there's live streaming capabilities that come with this. Yeah. So we're streaming nearly every show live. So if you want to check out Rev Pro Show, if you're in America. So I was able to watch the last 229 like at like 8 a.m. in the morning. I woke up, got to watch the show, and that was just really cool things to check up on everyone, see how they're doing. Yeah. So by all means, jump on that. If I recommend that, it's at revproondemand.com. Yeah. And then like DOJMO for my merchandise. Oh. Yeah, put it in there. Yes, please. Then DOJMO.com for merchandise needs. Then you can find me at the OJMO on all social media, Instagram and Twitter, and even Facebook, I think, and YouTube. Yeah, let me plug my YouTube. I'm actually getting close to 1,000 subscribers. I didn't even know. I didn't realize. I was like, oh yeah, you get something if you get 1,000. Let's. I want to plug my YouTube. Let's get me to 1,000 subscribers. I think I'm at 900 now. So let's do it.
Well, everyone, go follow Michael on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, everything, and definitely sign up for Rev Pro on demand. It's a really awesome service, and you will see so many amazing matches and the future of British wrestling and more on there. But thank you so much, Michael, for talking to me today, especially since like you're just home. It's so crazy, like how close it is to when you just wrestled Chris Jericho.
No worries. Again, I knew that was like a cool thing, like for me, and I know how much Jericho means to you too. I was like, and of course we've got our history enough where I just thought, yeah, absolutely, let's talk as soon as we can.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Michael.
No worries.